Hey guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Wanted to do a trade review. We had a 40-point ES trade on 40 points, almost 40 points, 38 to 42. So not quite 40, but pretty damn close, right, to the downside in ES. And wanted to cover how it got set up for the day, right? So before we started the day, so first, past performance is not indicative of future results, and there's significant risk trading futures, and you can lose your ass if you don't know what you're talking about, or if you don't know what you're doing more specifically, right? You should have a specific trade plan, and you should know exactly where and what you're looking for in a trade, and we do basically know what we're looking for in a trade, right? I tend to do better in high volatility situations versus low volatility situations. The high volatility situation is what I'm really great at. I struggle a little bit more in terms of providing I guess with the high volatility, I get outsized trades is the best way to describe that, right? So jumping in, let's jump in real quick. What you'll see here are these levels that are posted, and what you'll see is I post these in the trading room, and I will scroll this up for you so you can see it here real quick. And so the day starts off with having, if I can scroll up enough here, and we can get through everything I've written and have it load up quickly enough. Sorry, I probably should have had this up a little bit earlier. Let me see if I can grab it really quick. There you go, ES for Friday. So that is what the CL. Let's try one more time for ES. There we go. So there's ES when we came in the prior day. And what we're focused on is the white zones and the yellow zones, both for looking for rotation and counter rotation, right? So this is the bigger picture part of where we start the day. And if you look, we had started the day in balance, and we obviously had not only the Fed speaker at 9 a.m. Central Time. In addition, we had President Trump tweeting after the Fed speaker, and it kind of threw things into chaos. And we had China kind of up in the ante in the trade war, right? So the three big factors: Fed speaker, China, and President Trump, right? So what that translates into on the 5 minutes is we started off the day, and you'll see as the Fed speaker came online. So I just want to point this out so you can kind of get a reference in your head of what we're looking for. Here's where the Fed speaker starts speaking. That's 9 a.m. You see we rally into it. We fill the gap fill, which is a retail location in the prior day's volume point of control. So those light blue areas, I'm very hesitant to trade in, and I did not trade in that area, right? Where I was looking to trade is once I saw that once I heard the president kind of came out and was pretty aggressive with the Fed chair's comments. That's where I was really looking to short. So I'm not trading off of this 5 minute chart, right? But if you'll look at the basic concept of the support resistance levels, they are important because they tell me where to go look for trades. So I just want to kind of point this out really quick here. Okay, so if you'll notice, the white zone, early in the morning at 8:50, we get a response right out of the white zone. Where does it go? Right to the yellow zone. Overshoots it a little bit, but in general holds that area, right? Rolls back down, retests the prior day low. That's what that green line is. Comes back up where it pauses again at the yellow zone, finally breaks above, comes into the prior day's point of control, both volume, because that comes off of a volume profile chart. We do not make it to this white zone, which I thought would have been a great place to look for a short if we had made it there. And then this is where President Trump's tweets come out, right? If you look where we roll down to, your target from any short up in this area, your initial target would have been 28.88. However, because there was news, i.e. at this point this was President Trump's tweets, we blew that zone up. So here's the important thing about that zone. I'm not the only one that understands where the support resistance levels are. We all know where they are. If you look for the anomalies that are prominent tend to provide good counter rotation location. Okay? You have to assume when you look at this, if you blow this up, you can see when we initially got into that area in general, all right? When we hit this area in general, we responded because they counter rotated from roughly 28.90 all the way back up to 2900, right? There's a 10-point rotation, and then it promptly sliced through this area. It didn't quite make it to what I would consider a weaker yellow zone. That's why it's dotted there. There's a volume build there, but there's not an anomaly from a TPO profile. Nonetheless, buyers step in, and then we push right back up to backside test. Now, the reason that we're going to reject out of this area is because you have to assume that other people knew where this was. There was buying going on here. When these guys got busted, we come up for the backside test, and they are going to sell it. That is the premise behind looking for a short in that location. Okay, so as the day went, the first place I was looking for a short was 29.19. Why? Even though that was slightly behind or above that support resistance area, there was an impulse move down, and I was trying to get the backside test. So pause, because all of this is on a 5-minute chart. So I'm going to show you something here real quick. If I take my profile chart, which is right here, so just stay with me. This is a lot of concepts going all at once. So this is chart 22, right? And I'm going to overlay it on this chart right here. Now this is my 1.5 range chart. I have a couple of algos running on here that help me out, right? I'm going to take this chart setting so y'all can see this really clearly. Now 1.5 range bars prints a lot of bars when the market's fast, right? And I'm going to copy over those levels, okay? And there are the magical levels. So when we get the initial impulse, I want to show you over here. What I'm looking for on this chart are head and shoulders setups. I'm looking for momentum shifts. This kind of is an oscillator that measures where my sellers are coming in, where they're getting trapped. It helps me read the market, right? And this is where my important decision making. But what I want everyone to understand who sees the video, the decision making starts off of a daily chart, the TPO and the volume profile, shifts down to a 5-minute chart so I can get a good idea of what the bigger picture looks like, and then finally I'm down to a 1.5 range chart to make my trading decisions, right? So if you'll look, this is the initial push, right, in the morning. This is the initial push to the upside. The biggest, arguably, so if you pull this in, right, that post 9 a.m., meaning this is where the Fed speaker started speaking, right? So there's two things about this. If you look at these push-ups, we're going to highlight them. There's one here, and there's one here. So whenever you have a series of large momentum pushes, which is what this and this is, right? Once you get behind or underneath these, you have everyone above trapped. So that means, if you look at that once we get behind this level right here, right? So I'm going to color it a different color so you can see it more easily. So I'll make this a red zone, right? Dun-dun, everyone above is trapped. Okay. Once you get underneath here, you can look for potential long liquidation. Why? You've got two big pushes. You've gotten underneath both of those pushes, right? And these guys are, everyone who's long above this point is completely screwed. And what you'll see is, so the first thing you'll notice really casually is we come down, we got underneath, we backside tested, and then we went into long liquidation. Pretty cool, right? So you get a lot of information just from understanding where the momentum pushes come from, right? Now we want to combine these with where the anomalies are off the daily trade plan, right? So the other thing you're going to notice here is this is the white zone, and you'll see the first time we tested that white zone, right, multiple times actually overnight, you got clean responses out of that. Even once the news kind of broke, you got 1, 2, 3 tests between 7:30, 15 a.m. and 10 a.m., right? And clearly, a lot of people were invested in trying to defend and or push to the upside out of that area. So you want to think about this while you're trading in real time slowly, right? So now, you know that because look at the amount of time you have between making decisions. This is 8:54, 9 a.m., and you're not underneath that level to all the way over here at 10 o'clock, right? So my assumption would be, first of all, if we can't get underneath this last push, that buyers would stay in control. Now, where did I first try to short? I'm going to show you. and I did not get filled, by the way. I put the order in. It did not fill. All right. So what we're going to see here is push. All right. Then we're going to see another big push right over here. All right. So that's a big push. And then notice, once we get above this push, so this is the push right here. I'm going to highlight it. This is the last little major push up right here. Now, what I would not expect I'm going to color that one a little bit different so we can remember what it looks like. We'll color it light green. That was kind of the last go zone that they had. That was the outline. Did not work the way I wanted it to. Let's see if we can do this one more time. There we go. There we are. Okay, so this is the last push, right? So then you'll notice we get these two last little pushes right here. Push one. Push two, right? So here's this next little push, right? Notice that it can't make it back above the high, right? So we push above the high on very little momentum, right? So that's this push right here, right? And then we then get above that push, close back in, but fail to get back into this wave. Next, right, we have three pushes down. They make, see this is absorption right here. So again, this is advanced. But think about what it's doing. You get 1, 2, 3 pushes down, right? Remember, this is still at 9:50 a.m. and you get almost no response, right? So almost no response out of this, right? What they're trying to do is defend this second push right here, which is what they're doing is they're pushing heavy. This selling, right, is pushing heavy into this wave and it's getting absorbed because people are still trying to push to the upside, right? So next, what happens? And guys, so not only for the public, but for the members in the room and my coaching clients in particular, right? You'll see next we get wave down, right there. So this is different. That's the first wave down that you'll see we got consecutive waves lower, right? And you got that here, but we really hadn't had any preparation for a turn yet, right? So this became, that little area became resistance once we closed underneath, and that worked. I could have shorted that 29.26. I didn't short it because I was uncertain of how when the Fed speaker was going to be finished speaking, and so I didn't take this trade, right? But now you get the second, the exact same setup again. Momentum push one, goes right on that wave right there, right, which lines up right here. Momentum push two is right there. And I did not take this, and I should have taken that. So that would have been my first trading mistake of the day, and it actually would have ended up being, let's see, 22 for 42. Wow, almost 70 points, I think. My math's pretty horrible, but 42, that's almost 60 plus another 22, almost 80 ES points, right? So pretty crazy. I should have been more aggressive there. I wasn't. I waited, right? And that's all right. Not to be overly aggressive here, because normally when you have all these green pushes underneath, it's going to get absorbed. I really didn't see us rolling to the downside hard at that point, right? But things changed right here. When you see this huge push to the downside right here, right? Once we get underneath this push right here, once I saw this push, I was hoping for, so that push ends right here, and I probably noticed it right about here, and I was simply hoping to push back into this 28.19. That's where I finally tried to short for the first time, and I got no fill. So I could have been aggressive over here. It's understandable that I wasn't because of what was going on between the Fed speaker. Here's where our president is tweeting out right in this area. I try to catch a backside test into this location. It did not work, right? And then I get this big push to the downside, 2,900. Now, I don't want to short first time into here, right? Why? That is a white zone, and it is held as support all night long, right? So I'm not very eager to short here, so I don't do anything, right? I don't want to go long either. It's kind of sweeping straight to the downside. Next, right? Notice how much time has passed, and I don't have to be panicked at all. I can just wait patiently. And I'll tell you where I made the error in the trade and where I didn't make the error in the trade. So we impulse move to the downside now. Now what I'm hoping for here, so I'm going to rate, that was all to this point, right? So I'm going to cut, since we don't get above this, right? So I'm going to, remember, this is my first push of the base. If I get underneath this, I'm now underneath these sellers, right? So if I could get a chance to redo this, what I would have done would have been to short right into the base of the last push up, but I didn't have the situational awareness, or I missed it, right? Of having the situational awareness to take that short. I wish I had, right? But I didn't. But what I want to show you what I did have, right? I knew now two things. Number one, see this push down right here? We know two things, both for that day and moving forward. This is a giant momentum push to the downside, right? So I'm going to cut this right here. Cut this right here. I'll do this. Cut drawing. No, it's here somewhere. There we go. Cut drawing here. Okay, so that's my buy push, right? We're underneath now. This becomes my sell push, right? All the way through. Excuse me. Here to here. Okay, and what I know now is, if I don't get back above 29.08, right? Once I get above 29.08, just like I got behind my last buyer, now I'm going to be above my last big seller, and the sellers will be trapped if we get above this, and I can expect a push to the upside. So obviously going into tonight, this evening, tomorrow, 29.08 is both a major support resistance area, and the larger block is 28.92 to 29.08, and I would expect both ends of that to provide some kind of counter rotation going into Sunday night / Monday, right? And I know once we're above 29.08, we can really squeeze shorts back to the upside if we get above. So now you know for Monday, cut that a little bit short, because you know 29.08 becomes very important, right? Next, we backside test into the white zone, and I did not have the situational awareness to take the trade here. But what we did have, right, so I want to show you here, right, and I'm going to give you all a shortcut. Where I end up short is all the way over here at 28.87. I end up short right in here, right? And I actually tried to pull that off over here the first time, and I was too tight on my short. I'll cover that in just a second. I actually took one stop prior to catching the rollover, right? So what you'll notice again is right at that support zone, right? You see traders trying to step in and hold that location. They step in just in front of that support zone, push it back to the white zone. So the 5-minute chart and that daily chart is still very important. And notice, I've missed everything. I mean, literally everything to this point. I've missed multiple setups in here. I'm actually executing pretty poorly on the day at this point, because I'm just pausing, right? And reality is I should have done that. I missed both longs and shorts, but I was unsure of the environment, quite how to read it, and this gave me some time to kind of watch the price action, right? So what I'm looking at now, I want to show you, why did I finally decide to go short inside this 28.87 area, and how did I end up getting stopped? So let's open that up a little bit. The first time I shorted 28.87 against a, let's see if my memory serves me correct. I shorted 28.8750 against 28.90, or maybe it was 88.50 against 27.90. That's what it was. It was right here. I shorted right in here on the second time in, and I exactly get stopped right here. So I kind of scratch my head, right? I go, I sure didn't like that, right? But I thought, with that big push down, I had, in principle, the right formula, right? So remember, this is moving pretty darn quickly while I'm doing this, right? And what you'll see, and so we can actually look at the time, because I posted it to members in the room. Right, so what you can do is we can come down over here, and we can capture the time of the trade, right? I know this is going slow, but this is how you set up big trades, right? Okay. It was 87.50. Oh, that's right. Okay. So, short 28.87. So you'll see right there, 10.17. 28.87, stop 28.90. Fast market. Make sure you're comfortable with that. Don't allow yourself to go on tilt. Stopped. So you'll see right here at the exact same time, right? So this is 10.17, less than 3 minutes, I'm stopped. You'll see then at 10.20, stopped and reshorted 28.87.50, stopped 28.91.50, 4 points this time. Okay. So, and you'll see what the plan was, right? Yeah, that would suck. My typing was horrible. I was doing it really fast. Working on a push this time, so little to no scale on the way down. You can use 28.89 stop at 10.21. Adjust stop to 28.89.50. 2 points of risk now. Target 28.72. For my first scale. So lots of ways that could not work out. So this will be a net 5 points of stop, meaning the first time was 4 and the first time was, actually my math was off there. So I took 3, 4. It would have been net 7 points of stop. And I'm pretty much ignoring a 5-point gain at this point, right? So you'll see my thought process going through, right? So what you'll see is this where I end up taking the short. So I get stopped here the first time. I retake the short right here, the 87.50. That's where I take the short the second time. And it immediately rolls down. I get down to 82 and I ignore taking my scale at that point, right? And remember what I said, my first target was going to be 10 points. So what I was shooting for then, I modified a little bit. When I get right in here, I said, okay, I'm being a little bit greedy with hitting. My goal was to hit the 72 low, which if we bring that back in, would have been a retest of the low. Come back. What was I trying to hit from earlier? I was trying to shoot to get into this little location back to the left, okay? And I simply decided that when I shorted 87.50, when I got to 77.50, I would take some of the risk off. I did. My next target was over here. So see how we hit that low initially? So see how on the initial rundown we had hit this low, I set that 72. That's what I was trying to hit again the second time, right? There's the 1030. You'll see when we got 77.50, I went ahead and took 10 points off after the encouragement of some of the members in my room, and then I got the 72.50 right here. So that was from 87.50 to 72.50 for 15 points. So that was this location right here. I was able to retest and slightly break the low, and then I made it really simple, right? I had a quarter of the trade left on, and I said, they're either going to come all the way back over here to 87.50 and stop me, or I'm going to ride that all day long, right? So I just left it on, and this is how it played out the rest of the day. Now, here's the deal. I could have come in and out of that trade multiple times again because you had multiple trades set up through the course of the day. Taking that much risk under that much speed is mentally exhausting, right? So I didn't do anything. I just kind of sat there and decided I was just going to let that quarter ride. If they stopped me, they stopped me. If they didn't, they didn't. But it was really fast markets. And so the last piece I want to say from the coaching perspective on this, right? Guys, we had that all stacked up the right way. We were in the right location, the right area. In a fast market, you have to have a willingness to take the trade twice sometimes, right? So either lower your size or just know you're going to take, sometimes it's going to take 2 shots to make the trade work if you're going to trade a fast market with a tight stop. My experience has been even with a wide stop in a fast market, you can still get crunched. So I say just plan for 2 trades, right? And then the last piece was we didn't try to overpress the trade. I was just kind of riding it, and my target was to get down to 37 actually. And by the time we got to the end of the day, we finally had rolled underneath that 46 to 42. And so I was thinking 80, from 80 to 40, that's how I came up with the 40 points, but in reality it was about 35 points right, of P&L on that last quarter trade. And right when we sweep through this here towards the end of the day, we get down towards 42. I figure we're overdone. And what I was concerned about, so I closed it at 42, and you'll notice that it actually rolled all the way down to past the 37, all the way to 34. But that right there, this little move right over here, that is what I was totally concerned about, was getting bone crushed at the end of the day on getting the wrong read. And you'll see they pushed all the way up. So one last piece. Tonight, if we don't trap back into this low right here, all right, all these people who made this initial purchase on the gap down this evening, which we're almost certain to have, right? So from that 28.46 to 28.34, someone poured an enormous amount of capital and to get that big a momentum wave popping on the screen, right? So underneath that, inability to get back above 28.34 is bearish. The ability to get back above 28.46, those guys should defend and try to push back up towards 64, the 80s, and eventually that 2,900 level. So for this evening, tomorrow's going to be wild, right? A lot of conflicting information coming out of the White House. Asia is going to be pretty crazy. I'm not trading Asia this evening. Europe will probably be interesting. And then watch out if we're way down in the morning that you have an overcommitment to the downside and they stop and turn around and pop everyone back up. Last thing, if you're interested in joining the room or you're looking for one-on-one coaching, you'd like to contact me, or you just have a question, shoot me an email, tradenperform@gmail.com, tradenperform@gmail.com. If you're looking for someone to say buy this level and sell that level blankly, that's what the levels are for if you want to just trade those. This is really designed for aggressive traders looking for pinpoint accuracy on their entries and learning how to really manage their risk and get good RR out of every trade. That's what the room is designed for. It's not designed for the novice. It's really designed for people who want to up their game to the professional level. So anyways, hope everyone has a great day. Trade well, trade smart. Don't blow up tomorrow. It'll be a fast day. I plan to take it easy for the first hour and then go to work and see what's offered. Right? I don't have to be the first one up to bat. As a matter of fact, I was super late and still killed it on Friday in terms of taking my first trade. So anyways, have a great weekend, guys. I'll talk to y'all later and trade well. See ya.